KPMG and the following organizations that appreciate and applaud the value of entrepreneurs are pleased to present The Entrepreneurs.
I had no idea running a company would be this hard. And naivete plays a huge role in your willingness to take on an endeavor like this. Like, I just had no clue.
Meet Amanda Hull, the CEO of Summit Nanotech, a Calgary-based company that is out to change the way lithium is mined from brine.
The world needs more lithium, but at today's prices, only the most cost-efficient and high-performance extraction technologies can get projects over the line. That's the real bottleneck. It's not just supply, but cost-effective, scalable extraction.
Changing the way lithium is mined is no small endeavor, especially when you started from scratch, had no business experience, and had to learn how to raise money.
Every time we reach a milestone, it feels like it's not enough. You know, like I need more, I need more, I need more. And so I don't take the time to celebrate wins when I should. So that's something I've had to really force myself to do. Like, we'll get a contract or an investor in the door, and within seconds, I'm like, what's next? Instead of, holy cow, we just did something amazing, let's stop and celebrate.
In Amanda's case, it all started with a trip to Tibet, not for spiritual reasons, but out of a desire to observe geology.
I was a geophysicist drilling oil wells for a living in an oil and gas company, and I picked Tibet because it had this beautiful plateau between the mountains that was a modern day analog of what I was actually drilling into at the time. When I was hiking up a mountain and stopped in a beautiful monastery, I saw a Tibetan monk reach into his robe and pull out an iPhone. And then I was like, what the heck is he doing with an iPhone at the top of a mountain in a monastery? And if lithium is here, lithium is everywhere. And so that is when I had the idea of, you know, oil and gas it's been my bread and butter for my whole life, for my career as a professional geophysicist. But the future is lithium.
Putting a plan in place, starting from scratch. Well, step one, how to improve the lithium extraction process in an environmentally friendly way.
Oh, I started with a blank piece of paper and started drawing. So my first drawings were of the human kidney, because the loop of Henle is this really cool little machine inside your kidneys that takes in liquid and separates salt from everything else. I started looking into lithium selective membranes and how we could filter lithium across a membrane using a concentration drive that the human kidney uses, and at an industrial scale. Because my whole life I had been working at like refineries. I knew the scale of a refinery, and I've worked with crappy equipment in the field. I know how hard it is to get poor equipment up and running. And so my motivation was, okay, I had some ground rules. We had to be the lowest cost operator. The project economics had to make sense. So there were criteria we had to achieve with the technology that would keep us at the low cost operation end of the cost curve. If any of them said what you're asking for is impossible, and I did get that statement once in a while, I would say, we do it in our bodies. So it can be done.
Unlimited, emboldened, and fearless. The kind of fearlessness needed to jump in with complete conviction that she could extract lithium better than anyone else at a commercial level and with no money and no team.
Yeah, 3 kids, single mom. I quit my job, sold my house, sat down with a blank piece of paper and started to draw.
Oh, and by the way, that first plan that looked so brilliant didn't work.
When we scaled these membranes up even just a little bit bigger, we realized that they cracked under pressure. We put that away and said, let's look at sorbents instead. And sorbents work in a similar way. They operate based on a concentration swing. So a high concentration brine will push lithium into the sorbent, and a low concentration water will wash the lithium out. And that is the exact same thing that the loop of Henle does, but using a membrane rather than a sorbent.
Next, prove it, and just as importantly, raise money to build a prototype.
A lot of early investors invest in the founder, not in the idea, and they know that the idea will evolve.
A testament to Amanda. Remember, she wasn't in the money-raising business. She was a geophysicist drilling for oil.
I would say being a geophysicist taught me how to be fearless because you gather data. It's always an incomplete data set, no matter what you're doing, whether it's oil and gas extraction or potash mining. And then you use an incomplete data set to make million-dollar decisions, like multiple million-dollar decisions. But you have to trust your knowledge, your instincts, your process of how you got to the point of making that decision.
Up until that point, Amanda was living off money she had saved and the proceeds from the sale of her house, and that money was flowing out the door.
Yeah, the team was probably about 13 people at that point. So, and we were building physical equipment, so it was expensive to get going. Yeah, it's not just a laptop in your mom's basement like some startups. This was hands-on. We needed a lab. We needed, I need professionals that knew how to work with chemicals and knew how to innovate, which is not easy to find. And then COVID hit, so that was a challenge.
That's an understatement. It was a challenge that could have killed the company.
Yeah, so we did the entire end-to-end process in our lab in this barn, from raw brine all the way to a high-purity, battery-grade lithium carbonate product. And then we asked the Canadian government to come and do a third-party validation of the process.
Next, build a prototype and send it to Chile to prove the concept.
Our first pass through with our first customer went quite well. Second customer didn't go quite well, but we learned a lot from why it didn't go well. So it was everything from brine composition to how we were running the column sequencing, and then the sorbent itself turned out to be not good enough. So our first batch of sorbent that we piloted was not good enough. We brought it all back, we digested it all, we did some assessment on pathways to failure. How did we fail? Why did we fail? How can we fix this? And we spent the next year fixing it. We reinvented the sorbent to have properties that could withstand that harsh environment in the field. And then we went back and tried again, and we killed it. When you're underground, Mother Nature is heterogeneous. It's never the same. Every time you drill a well, you've got a different product coming out of the ground. So we now have a plant that can respond to the brine, the changes in the feedstock brine. The plant will respond real time to changes in the brine feedstock, and that is built on an AI platform that our team designed and wrote the code for, and we own it.
For entrepreneurs, it comes down to money. And in the startup cycle, there has to be a point where the company stops spending investor cash and starts earning through sales. For Amanda, that gap is still open.
So I know that the lithium market is going to keep growing and that the need for our technology will always be there. What I don't know is if we'll stay alive long enough to see that happen.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of The Entrepreneurs. Sign up for our newsletter at theentrepreneurs.ca, and we'll let you know when our new episodes are published.